Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to give you 3 methods that you must learn, okay, if you're just getting into playing guitar solos. And this can be for beginners who had just started playing guitar, they're getting into heavy metal, and they want to play guitar solos, or maybe you've been playing guitar for a long time, but you've just always considered yourself a rhythm guitar player, but you want to start getting into playing leads and coming up with your own guitar solos. This video is for you. Now we're going to dive right into these 3 methods that I truly want you to learn. And just kind of a disclaimer here, guys, these 3 methods I'm sharing with you, they're what I feel are the most important when you're just starting out, whether you're a beginner guitar player or, again, maybe you've been playing guitar for a long time, for years, but you've always considered yourself just a rhythm player. You're kind of, for whatever reason, you just thought you couldn't cross over to that threshold, or every time you tried to play solos, it just didn't work out. I truly believe this video, this lesson will help you, okay? So hang in there. Now, make sure that you hang around after the lesson, because I'm going to share some extremely important advice for you lead guitar players out there. And well, just wait. Hang around after the lesson. Let's dive right into the first method. All right, so we're starting out of the gate with alternate picking, and all alternate picking is just picking back and forth. If you remember when you first started playing guitar, whether that was recently or maybe it was months or even years ago, you probably started out playing downstrokes with down picking. Alternate picking, the reason why I want you to get this now instead of later is because if you wait too long, it's gonna seem more difficult to play, to grasp, and that's just really learning from my own experience. I started playing guitar back in 1989, 1990-ish, and for the first year, I only played with the down picking method. I never alternate picked. I didn't discover that until like a year later. See, we didn't have YouTube and stuff like this back in my days. The problem with that though is when I started trying to alternate pick, when I discovered that method, it was very difficult for me to grasp that, to learn that, and it was very frustrating. So as you're learning, as you're now just getting into playing guitar solos or trying to get better at them, I want you to practice more of your alternate picking method now. We're going to go through actually 2 different versions of what you just heard. Actually 3. I'm going to show you 3 different versions of what you just heard. We're on the G string, and just for the sake of knowing the notes, or knowing at least the key, we're in the key of D minor. That's what this little pattern is based on, okay? So we're on the G string, and we're going to be playing frets 10, 9, and 7. And what I want you to do is I want you to play that pattern 4 times before going to the next. There's 3 different little patterns here. So we're going to play that 4 times before going on to the next. Play that 4 times. Don't worry about speed right now, okay? Again, this lesson here is for beginners. The last thing I want you to worry about is speed. Focus on accuracy and focus on becoming comfortable playing these patterns, okay, and just playing in general. The speed will come naturally, and we'll talk more about that after these lessons here. So, all right, again, we're going to go through that 4 times. Then your next pattern here is going to be 12, 10, and 9. Go through that 4 times. And again, you can see my pick going back and forth. We're not down picking, we're going back and forth. The last pattern in this little series here will be frets 14, 12, and 10. Now what I would want you to do is just put all of that together, okay, and I'll go through this really slow. and I just go back the way we came, basically, is what we did there. So the next pattern I want you to learn is really the same pattern, but instead of going from your high to low notes, I want you to reverse that, and I want you to start low and go high this time. So let's go through this real quick. We're just going to do the same thing, but just reverse that pattern, okay? Okay, good. And what this does, it just gets you used to playing both ways, basically, right? Because you don't want to get used to playing the pattern just one way, from low note to high note or high note to low note. You want to become equally good at both. Now, you'll probably notice that you may gravitate towards one of those naturally. That just happens, right? Some guitarists, they find that playing up the neck is easier than playing down the neck, or vice versa. But that's why I have you starting out practicing both ways, both patterns there equally, so that you can just progress with both of those types of patterns there, if that makes sense. Now, one more little pattern, right? Same notes, but we're just going to change things up just a little bit, and this is going to enhance everything that I just talked about here. So check this out. Again, same notes, exactly the same. We're just doing things a little bit differently. And again, we're mixing up, going from high to low and vice versa. Okay, we're kind of throwing a little twist in there. And this kind of helps you break away from the monotony of playing kind of the boring patterns, right? This adds a little bit of hot sauce on the chicken wings, so to speak, here. So let's go through this before we go to the next lesson. And again, the next lesson, we're going to go to downstrokes, and I got a little surprise for you on that one. So let's finish this one up here. All right, so what I'm doing here. All right, so what we're doing is we're going from high to low, okay? Frets 10, 9, 7. But then we're going to go back to 9, then 7. So it's just a very quick kind of reversing the pattern almost, but not quite all the way, if that makes sense, okay? And again, it just kind of breaks up the monotony of doing the other patterns. Now, I want you to practice those other patterns, okay? I want you to practice them, you know, play them 4 times each and just keep going over and over. But then maybe when you finish those 2 patterns, practice it this way here, okay? And we're just doing each pattern one at a time here. Okay, then we're going to move up here. And there, we're on frets 12, 10, and 9. Then we go back to 10 and 9 again. Lastly, so we're on frets 14, 12, 10, then back to 12 and 10. So let's go through this one more time slowly. Now we're switching from alternate picking to just playing downstrokes, just downward picking here. The caveat that I told you about earlier that we're mixing with this, and you just heard it, is we're adding some palm muting to this as well. And remember, this whole thing is about, this whole video, this lesson is about metal lead guitar, okay? And this is a tactic that you'll hear in a lot of metal guitar solos. And as you're practicing your downstrokes, right, as you're practicing downward picking like that, I want you to get used to maybe adding some palm muting there every now and then. You don't have to do it all the time, but again, it just adds that metal flavor to it, if that makes sense, okay? So let's go over this little pattern here. I'm just going to show you one pattern for this lesson here. We're going to be on the D and the G strings, and we're still playing in the key of D minor. I want to just kind of keep things simple for this lesson here. Don't worry, I'll be doing more lessons like this on my channel. Actually, I've got several, but there's more to come. So anyway, we're on the D and the G strings, okay? And we're starting out on the 7th and 8th frets of the D string. What I'm doing here, again, downstrokes only, that's all we're doing. I'm giving it a light palm mute. One thing I want to say about palm muting is you don't have to like slam your hand down on there. You don't have to like have a tight hold, and this is where your palm's kind of meeting the bridge there. I tend to do kind of a light palm mute, and I tend to, and I don't want to over explain this, but I tend to kind of like barely raise my palm off and on the bridge, kind of up and down there, just gently as I'm playing my guitar solos. And I do the same thing with my rhythm. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're playing, because I want you to develop your own signature style and sound. I know we're just learning here. This is a beginner's video, but even as a beginner, you're learning these tactics. Just always have it up here. You're not trying to sound like this guitar player, that guitar player, or even me. Sound like you. Okay, so if you learn this stuff early on, oh, it will it will take you extremely far, instead of trying to sound like this person or play like that person, blah blah blah. Don't do that, okay? Learn the concepts, learn the tactics, right? Learn the methods, but always have it up here in your head that you are sounding like you. This is your sound that you're creating, your style that you're creating, okay? So let's get back to the lesson here. I'm doing kind of a light palm mute. Sometimes I won't even palm mute both notes. I might palm mute just one of the notes. You could either palm mute the first or the second, or you can just start out by palm muting all of them. But you want a light enough palm mute that you hear the notes. You don't want, you want more of a really light palm mute there, and hopefully you can hear that okay. Next, okay, D string, frets 7, 8. We're going to go over to the G string now, and we're going to play some of the same notes that we just played in the first lesson there, okay? So here it is. Kind of doing the same thing that we did in the last part of the first lesson that we just went over there. And that pattern is on the G string, frets 7, 9, 10, 9, then we're going 7, 9, 7. Okay, now let's add that D string back in there. Now you'll notice sometimes, and I'll show you a little trick here, you'll notice sometimes you'll see my hand down here, my fingers down here, and kind of like I'm holding other strings. And what I'm doing, since we're kind of milking that note on the G string, that final note, what I'll sometimes do, I do this almost every time, is I'll take these two fingers, my thumb and my first finger here, and I will mute the strings surrounding the string that I want to ring out, which is the G string, and that just helps eliminate some of the noise. Now these are passive pickups, so I don't have as much of a noise problem, but with the distortion you still have it. So just watch my fingers here. Okay, that's just a little trick, not really part of the lesson, but hey, I threw in some extras here. All right, let's go to the final technique that I want you to get down as you're getting into playing metal guitar solos. Really simple technique, but there's a lot of finesse to this technique, and this is one of those things that even though it's simple by nature, it will make your guitar solos sound like real guitar solos and not so dull and boring. It will give them life. And this is something, because it's simple, that if you start integrating early on as a lead guitar player, that it's just going to take your guitar solos to that next level. One thing I want you to understand, and what we're going to go over, is just the bends, the string bending, and of course a little vibrato, adding that to your leads, which you're bending the string to do that, right? Essentially the same thing, and we'll go over that again here. I'll show you exactly what I'm doing, but I just want to make this point real quick. I know as a metal guitarist, especially getting into guitar solos, we want to shred and do all this fast stuff as soon as we possibly can, but guys, you got to get this basic stuff down first, because even if you learned how to shred tomorrow, if you're not integrating some of these other things that give the solos life, even the simple stuff, it's just going to sound like a bunch of notes played really fast. It's just not going to have any life to it. So I want you to learn this stuff as a beginner. Don't worry, I'll do more videos, and I've got more videos on some of the more technical things and shredding and sweep arpeggios and all that stuff. We'll get there. I want you to nail this stuff down, okay? So what I'm doing here, we're on the D and G string. We're still in the key of D minor. Not really sure why I chose that key. I just like D minor. You know, everybody plays, I'm in standard tuning, by the way. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. Everybody likes to play the heaviest notes possible when they're playing metal, and that's great. But I always encourage people, play in different keys. It allows you to learn the fretboard better, okay? So another little tip there. What we're doing here is I'm starting out on the 12th fret of the D string. Then I'm going to the G string, frets 10 and 12. I'm gonna bend that 12th fret on the G string, okay? And I don't just bend it, okay? Listen to this. So one bend, and you can do the one bend, okay? But I like to do like a little half bend and then do the full bend. Now, you could pause the video right now, and in fact, I'd like you to do that. Pause the video, just work on that. Just work on the bend, okay? Work on that bend, but don't just bend the string. Guys, I want you to feel this. This has got to come from in the heart and the soul. I want you to feel this note as you bend it, all right? And it's going to allow you to bring out your style, okay? Even if you're just getting into guitar playing and guitar solos, this is going to allow you to start bringing out your own style and developing your own style early on. I know I'm harping on this, but it's so important, guys. It's so important for you to develop your style and not try to play like everybody else, okay? So let's go through this, all right? I want you to practice this. Now you see me putting my fingers down here again. I am hovering over, I'm muting those surrounding strings. Be careful when you're doing that though. Again, this is just a little technique that I kind of came up with. I'm sure other guitar players use it too, but I've never heard anybody talk about it. It's just something that I kind of came up with. It just makes sense, right? But just be careful that you don't accidentally mute the string that you want to ring out, because that can easily happen. So, you know, kind of combining all this stuff together, this just makes the guitar solo, makes the bend work, okay? And it makes it smoother and it makes it more pronounced. You don't want the string noise and the buzzing and all. All right, so what I'm doing after that, after I do that one bend, I'm gonna go to that 9th fret of the G string, and I'm gonna do a little vibrato there. So here's the thing, we're in the key of D minor. My next note after the 9th fret would be the 10th fret, okay? And let me back up just a second here. Your next note after the 12th fret would be the 14th fret. That note on the 14th fret there is actually what I'm bending up to, which that's an A. Your 12th fret is a G, and that next note would be an A. So you want to bend that G up to an A. Got it? So now we're going to do that final bend, that second final bend on the 9th fret, okay? And we're going to just milk that note a little bit. And I mean, just give it a little vibrato, just make it sound really creamy, okay? Now I want some coffee. Although I don't even drink creamer in my coffee anymore. I just drink it straight black. Anyway, so basically what we're doing here, again, we're just doing this. And you hear that note ringing out here. You hear me getting a little bit of like harmonics there, and it just sounds really cool when you milk those notes. Now again, you see me using my 2 fingers to mute those surrounding strings, which in this case, those are the D and the B strings, all right? a beautiful sound that is. But again, you see I'm going from 9 to 10. Okay, you can even pause the video and just play around with that little vibrato there. So that would be something cool to do, and just kind of see, just feel it, you know, just do a little vibrato, just bend that string a little bit and just kind of feel like, what do I want this to sound like? What am I feeling right now? Let me express that through this instrument, okay? Let's go through this little lick here one more time. One of the things I harped on throughout these lessons here was developing your own signature style and sound, and not trying to sound like that guitar player or even me or anybody, okay? Yes, take the lessons, you know, go through my videos. I want you to learn what we're going through here. More importantly though, I want you to start expanding on what I share with you in these videos. So for example, and I'll have timestamps to all of the lessons in here, so you can just go directly to each of those lessons, lesson 1, 2, and 3 here, if you want to go back through those. But go through them again, and I want you to this time start adding notes to them, okay? Start adding your own flavor to them. This is like one of the best pieces of advice I can give you as a guitar player, especially someone that's just getting into lead guitar, whether you're just starting out on guitar playing metal, or whether again you've been playing for a long time but you've just considered yourself a rhythm guitarist and you just didn't feel like you could play guitar solos. Well, go back through this video and just start adding your own flavor to what you learned today in this video, and that's going to help you develop again your own signature style and sound. And that's what I want you guys to focus on. It's so important that you focus on that, because too many people are trying to get that person's sound and trying to play like that person over there, and they'll see somebody, you know, we all scroll through the internet or whatever, and there's all these amazing guitar players out there, and we kind of get jealous sometimes. Hey, even I do. Look, there are guitar players out there that can smoke me. I'll admit that. I'm okay admitting that, because I am focused on my own style, and I want you to be focused on your own style. Now, you may become one of those virtuoso guitar players, one of those shredders that can just do everything and do it really well. Understand though, there's going to be an 11-year-old on the other side of the world that can do it better than you, even if you do get to that top level. I'm not saying don't try to get there if that's what you want, okay? If you want to play, for example, you know, sweep arpeggios up and down the neck, then that's what you should start to practice once you get past this beginner stage of playing lead guitar. But don't forget the basics, and the stuff we went over today, again, it's my opinion that they're the most important factors starting out. You can advance on to the sweep arpeggios once you get this stuff down. You can advance on to playing hammer-ons and pull-offs, and I'm going to have videos on all these. Actually, I've got several out there on arpeggios and sweep picking, that sort of thing, but I'm going to be making more, so stay tuned for that. But I just wanted to give you this piece of advice because again, guys, it's so important that you focus on your own style. Develop that. Who cares what somebody else sounds like, or who cares who can play what? You develop your own style, and I mean it. I want you to focus on that, okay? Now, real quick before you go, make sure you download my free practice guide called Metal Riffs and Licks. Actually, it's turned into more of a practice course as a video and tabs you can download, all kind of good stuff. So that is completely free. There's a link in the description of this video, so grab your copy of that if you don't have it yet. If you've already got that, you'll see another link below for my Metal Riff Master guitar course. So that's going to be something you want to get into next, okay? So guys, again, thank you so much for supporting my videos. I appreciate you all. I hope you take this message to heart. I know this kind of started out just as a beginner's lead guitar video, but I really hope that you take all the other things I said to heart, especially about developing and focusing on developing your own style and sound. Again, that's what is going to make your guitar playing shine, and it's going to be the thing that makes your guitar playing unique. You're not just playing notes. You're putting your own character, your emotion, your feeling, everything that you're made up of, you're putting that into each and every note. And I want to make sure you're doing that, okay? So, guys, thank you once again. You know what to do. Until the next video, keep it metal.